Welcome everybody. Unstoppable Streltsy has returned once again with another Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition Cassie game presentation for you. Today we're doing 4 versus 4 Supremacy. This time it looks like the combatants of the Battle of the Little Bighorn and the combatants of the Crimean War have joined forces into one team to take on a bunch of Germans and a couple of Portuguese and Dutch as well, so this should be pretty interesting. Yeah, before we get started though, we need to check the geography of the map and see how that's going to affect the gameplay mostly. So in general for this map, which we've seen quite a number of times, in general it's a pretty straight path forward to attack your enemies. You got a couple of little pawns here and there. You can, maybe you could put a ship in there for defense, but that's about it. But on the sides, though, this is what's interesting. You got these rivers that go up and down the map with these little crossable fords that you can note by the rocks and the grass that goes to these trade routes, right? And to get one of the trading posts, at least the one in the middle, you're going to have to cross that ford. And then for each of the teams, they got approximately 2 of the trading posts right in their base practically, so that's one thing that these team members will be able to take advantage of almost immediately if they want to. Certainly for Ottomans, Germans perhaps, maybe some of the other cities, maybe they grab it. Lakota like trading posts as well, so definitely we're going to see a lot of these trading posts being nabbed up. Even these European native sites in the center, the House of Jagiellon. Yeah, these are some pretty good ones. House of Vasa. Definitely like those as well. So we'll see. Let's get started. This is going to be a pretty big fight as a 4 versus 4. Alright, so who's on this team? So this is the very Germanic team, right? You got 2 Germans, and then you got the Dutch, which are also sort of German. And even Portuguese, German as in descendants of the Germanic tribes that invaded Hispania in the Roman days. So everybody's Germanic on this team. Yeah, but in terms of team synergy, I feel like you got a lot of aggro potential and then you got a lot of economic potential. This is a pretty balanced team setup with a bit of an emphasis on eco. Reason I say that is Dutch are going to be very eco-focused, getting their banks. Portuguese with their town center boom. And the Germans, should they choose to, late game with their settler wagon improvements, right? Getting the artisan guilds, getting refrigeration and royal mint, and just how strongly that affects their settler wagons, since they do start with an initial gather rate equal to that of about 2 villagers in one. So yeah, I would say even though they can really go in any direction, I feel like economic is definitely going to be one that's going to be really the strongest for this side. And how about the other side? We're talking USA, Lakota, Russia, Ottomans. I definitely see a lot of aggro potential there, especially from the Russians and the Lakota. Ottomans can also play that way too. USA, though, they're probably going to play back a little bit and try to at least go more mid-game, I'm assuming, unless they want to go heavy into Outlaws. We'll see, though. We'll see what pathway they go here. Should be pretty interesting. That's for sure. We're going to want to definitely check out the decks here, since it's a 4 versus 4, and see, what sort of ultimate strategies everyone's going for here, So for this Ottoman on this side, we start off with this. Looks like they are definitely going to want to get all those trading posts near the base, because they are going the Silk Road route, which basically means crates have more resources and the trading posts also deliver more resources. So the more trading post Ottomans will get, they're going to profit much better than any of the other teammates will. So they may as well try to grab as many as they can here. In terms of everything else, though, I see a lot of combat. A lot of military. Also, some crates, some unit shipments. We don't see the royal decree, though, so we're definitely not going to see any sort of FI stuff, I think. But yeah, this looks very military upgrade focused towards the Janissaries. And we also got Sebesi for the artillery, for the Abbas and the Humbarses. We got Topkula for really all the Ottoman artillery. So yeah, this is really looking heavy military deck, with the bit of economics from eco theory and the capitalism and the Silk Road. But other than that, very, very military stat focus. They're going to be going Core Master, by the way. They could either rush with that or they could use it for infrastructure and actually get 2 trading posts from that, which they might end up doing. Let's try to focus more on this team. So, one of the Germans, which one is that? So, this is... Where are these guys? So, yeah, so who are these? Wait a second, so these are all okay. Just making sure where we're going here. It's kind of mixed up sometimes when they sort of mix the flags here. I really think when you're cycling through the players up here, they should try to stick all the players on one side next to each other in the menu. Yeah. So, for the Russian on this side, they look a little bit more mid-game-ish, you know what I mean? Like, they got some flexibility with this deck. They do have some early game potential for rushing. They got all the basic Russian aggro cards going, the crates, even the spice trade too to get that early hunting going. But then you see sort of late gamey upgrades, New Order regiments for the infantry, Strela combat, Polk, Advanced Arsenal even, Ransack, Pajor's toy soldiers, even some basic eco upgrades like eco theory, refridge, royal mint, medicine too to help with the villager booming time. Generally speaking, fencing school and dueling school is always going to be a requirement for Russians if they want to play optimally, so they had to get that. What are they aging up with? The logistician. That's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting option. I think I've gone the logistician a couple of times before, but in general I feel like Core Master is probably your way to go. That's just me. And then the Lakota, what are the Lakota doing? Lakota doing Lakota stuff, it looks like. Yeah, this is looking pretty Lakota-like in terms of their output. They got Earth's Bounty, pretty good card to go with. Team Rum Distillery, that helps the whole team out with their estates. That's going to be useful. Astute trading. Coin track gathers better from the tribal marketplaces. Yeah, in general, this is a pretty Lakota deck, You definitely need this Infinite Bison card, though, to really play Lakota properly in late game. Without it, you're basically dead by the time you hit later into the match. And what about the USA? That's the last one we haven't touched on this side yet. So they're going the Pennsylvania route. The Philadelphia Convention gives you a meeting house, and then you can get some special Royal Decree style text out of that. So yeah, they're probably going to pick up the coin trickle technology from that pretty quickly. If they do run into any sort of early aggression here, maybe they'll send out some early sharpshooters or carbine cavalry from that too. But we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. In terms of the rest of the deck, though, we see a lot of focus on estates, textile mill, cigar roller, Hamilton's Economics. That's a pretty good card in general because it does help you with your market technologies. And even if you invest in market technologies early in the game, you get those resources back through the cards, so it definitely pays itself back real nicely. Also, some strong Ford focus here. Koshkishko fortifications. Forts cost less to construct and to build faster, and you can have 2 more. So this is very forward-facing, and this is going to be really important since this is a pretty long map, right? You're going to be moving a lot of distance on it, so you might have to put some forts up to the front lines to bust your way through these walls, perhaps, with your allies. And we really haven't checked much on the other team either. Let's go back to them and see what they're doing. So this is the Orange German. Orange Germany is doing... Looks like they're playing in a way that supports early aggression. They got a lot of unit cards there if they need them. They got the Doppel, the Expo, the Ulan, even the Irish Brigadiers as well. But then when you look mid-late game, this is looking heavily into Suttler Wagon boom economy, right? You got your Royal Mint and your Textile Mill and your Guild Arzons. Also, Germantown farmers to get to that full build limit of settler wagons that you can, which is about 20. So yeah, this is definitely looking late game mercenary too. Well, actually, it's somewhat mercenary because we do have the Holy Roman Army in here, which we see a lot in these D matches. It seems to be pretty popular because you can constantly send infinite shipments of Lanech, the Jaegers, and the Black Riders with it. It's quite good. And in fact, they're going FF into the Bishop as we speak right now, which gives them a town center, actually. So they're definitely playing very boomy right now. And I think once they have enough food and wood, which they actually have quite a bit now, and they can get their first mill up, they can start to add in settler wagons as well. So they're going FF into boom. And what are the other opponents doing? So we move to the other ones. Dutch on that side, playing certainly pretty mercenary heavy. They do have Dutch States Army, which aids a lot in mercenary production, but somewhat hurts your regular army by making them a bit more expensive. So they're definitely going mercenary play here. Surprisingly, though, they are missing one of the bank build limit cards here. They only have the Bank of Rotterdam. They don't have the one of Amsterdam here, which is kind of strange, considering you really need a lot of banks. But they do have the Royal Decree, though, so they're not totally out of the woods, and they have the tulip speculation. Refridge to help with the food, as well as food silos. Yeah, in general, it's looking very Dutch-like in terms of the deck, just with a couple of different options I probably want to go with. You know, it's Team House of Nassau. That's definitely a very team-centered card that helps with market economy. Early on, getting your hunting dogs and so forth from the cooks there. The other Germany, what's the other Germany doing? Other Germany, they do have Germantown farmers, but they don't have any cards to follow up with it, though. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what are they doing exactly here? Now, this is a weeny bit, wait a minute. Mercenary shipments cost less coin for mercenary loyalty. I knew what that did, but the thing that's really concerned me is the only mercenary card you really got is this. This deck seems sort of poor from the start. You gotta at least have, you know, the infinite Holy Roman Army, like, you know, the other Germany has, I feel like, to really make this shipment really worthwhile. Mercenary camps, though, are certainly a pretty solid option, I would say. Also, Prince Electors gives you a nice set of German-based native warriors you can pick between, basically, right? Because since there's so many different German states out there, you got your run of the pick pretty much of which house that you want to ally with, so that's pretty useful. And for the Portugal, I'm assuming Kaiski is going to play like his usual himself and go very economic here. Yeah, yep, pretty much, you know, sustainable agriculture, refridge, Royal Mint. Actually, this is kind of interesting. House of Aviz team. This one is pretty fascinating. In general, what it does is it gives you access to Dragoons in Age 2. And if your Civ already has that, like the Chinese with their, their Kejiks, it allows them to train a little bit quicker, basically. Yeah. We do see Portugal queuing up Halberdiers, though. He's actually going to go for a side attack. Wow, we already see an attack by the Portuguese with Caçadores, Halberdiers, and organ guns. This is a very quick attack by the Portuguese, and this is going to lead to a response of Axe Riders. Horrible response, though, because guess what, man? Halberdiers eat through Axe Riders. Axe Riders are one of the worst things to use against Halbs. And now a shipment of Dragoons are coming in from the stable. Portugal's going all in assault over here, not showing any mercy at all. These are actually some of the Dutch riders, so the Dutch are also part of this attack as well. Yeah, so yeah, this is the Foundry, and barracks belong to the ports, and this belongs to the Dutch. So yeah, riders for the Dutch. Whose Halbs are these? Yeah, these are... Oh, so both are going for Halbs. We got Portuguese Halbs, and we got Dutch Halbs. Petards, one of the Kaiski-Tuski's signature moves, the Petards. They better be able to stop this over here, because if not, I feel like we're looking at an easy early victory here. Lakota returning with an army of bow riders to meet the occasion. Are they going to try to move any bills onto the community plaza, though, and get that warrior dance going? That would probably help a little bit with the damage here. What would also help is managing those bow riders a little more efficiently, man. You know the guy's got halberdiers, and he's going to eat through any mounted unit, so you need to kite with these. You can't just let them sit idle and let the halberdiers reach them. One thing, though, for Portugal, make sure you don't use any of these petards on this TC, since that's going to be going down no matter what. United States coming in with some of those emergency tercios. That's definitely a situation to deal with. Also, Russians helping out with some recruits, some USA regulars. These are veteran recruits, so Russia's already reached Fortress Age, it looks like. So these guys are going to have to reposition, I think, and deal with the onslaught coming towards them. Ottomans have veteran Jans and even Safahis. But the Safahis have landed themselves in a pretty hot situation, it looks like, and they ended up all dying because of it. When you're dealing with both goons and halberds, you can't really afford to put your Safahis into that situation, you just can't. You gotta keep them sort of to the sidelines until you can make a clean streak for, Cassadors, one of those units. And that's probably gonna hurt the Ottomans pretty badly, losing such a good unit that early on. More organ guns coming from the Portuguese, so they're going full throttle in here with some artillery. Petards are gonna snipe the TP, and this other set of petards are gonna snipe the fort, most likely. Yeah. Definitely a good idea by the Russians, though, to try to put a fort down to save face. Unfortunately, petards, they've taken down most of the HP, but it's still standing. Yeah, Portugal's not going to let it stop, though. I can already see a petard queuing from this foundry still, so they're not going to let that stay up for long. USA actually constructing their own fort over here. USA actually went with an F5 so they could construct their fort. Did they actually get the, let me see. Did they actually, yeah, they actually did get the Kosciuszko fortification, so these things are going to build much faster, and they're going to be cheaper too for the USA. And they're going to be able to have more than one of them already. So what's their build limit now? They have one on the field, this is fort number 2, and then they can build another one. So USA is definitely trying to defend the team as best as humanly possible here with just pure super giant buildings, basically. Also, even you gotta finish this outpost wagon too. Where are they gonna put this one? I'm gonna put it over here maybe, because they got this one building, this one's standby though, so they gotta work on that. Unfortunately, it seems like the Lakota side of the base has basically been ransacked at this point, and you already got Cassadors and other messy units already starting to rip their way through. Blockhouses here aren't going to last very long. This is a pretty effective assault, I must say. And then they're going to move on to the Russian fort for the Russians and went for the FI as well. This is probably going to be target number 1 to defend at this point. Ottomans trying their best to defend with a big batch of 5 falconets. Some Lakota rifle riders remain as well, so these are two going to be pretty instrumental units in defending here. However, all this light cav that the Germans, Dutch, Portuguese are massing up is going to do really well against rifle riders because they have the heavy cavalry tag. So that's one unit that, it might work out against the infantry like the halves and any artillery, but against all these dragoon style units, rifle riders are actually in not good shape for that. And you might need some other stuff like Abbas gunners mixed in with all this, which you would get from the Ottomans. Instead, though, they're going for some Janissaries, which, that's a good option too. Jans can do pretty well against these dragoons just because of their higher HP mounts, so they can tank some damage and take some abuse here for a while, giving the cannons more time to do their work to the skirmishers. But they're also going to have to make sure here that these cannons can try to snipe some of these organ guns as well, because in general when you're fighting falconets versus organ guns, one of the things you normally try to do with the falcons is you try to target some of the organ guns because of their naturally higher power and range and stuff. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and that's going to cause some issues here. Let's see, though, if this is truly going to be the end of this team, though. That's what I'm wondering here. Yeah, from what I can tell, got some organ guns trying to reposition here along between the corral and the factory. Whose culvers are these? These are the Germans, so these are actually on the attacking side. Yeah, it looks like the German had some culverins in here to deal with the defending falconets. Pretty good idea. They seem to still be standing a little bit. Yeah, even though there's no artillery right now, you know, culverins still not a bad siege weapon, right? Do some good crush damage, even have a bit of a multiplier against buildings. So even if you're not fighting artillery, they're not the worst thing to have on the field if you can do some siege work with them. The Armin falconets that remain, though, are going to try to limber their way back towards the farther side of the base where the forts are from the USA. Right now, this part of the map is almost unsalvageable, and these guys are going to have to basically come up with a plan to try to win this back. You know, they really wanted to defend this factory because this is a big source of economics for the Russians, and to afford all that cheap infantry that they're known for, but from the looks of it, with all these organ guns, all this army here, you're just not going to be able to defend this factory at all. Not going to be able to do much. So, they're going to have to... We need to age. What age are the Germans in? So, looks like they're all fortress age still, from what I can see. Some of the opponents, the USA and the Russians, are industrial age, hence the factory's still standing over here. So yeah, they might want to get some upgrades now. They're definitely enjoying a bit of advance. Oh yeah, Lakota resigned. So that's one less opponent you're going to have to deal with. Big threat now is USA, Russians, and Ottomans. Biggest threat is probably going to be USA because they're the ones popping out all the forts. They got the towers. In terms of villager count, how much villagers are they getting? Because they're actually queuing up four settlers as well at a time at this point. Yeah, they're gonna have like 57 villagers. So this USA is like doing really hard work. And Russians, how are the Russians doing? They're the last opponent also alive. So they're looking to get fort number 2 now, since fort number 1 is about to go extinct. How many vills have they got? 24. So yeah, they're not doing too well. It's really turning into a 4v1 at this point. You know, Russia probably going to try to add some infantry in there where possible, some guard recruits, but that's going to run out really soon. They're going to run dry. This attack by the 2 Germans, the Dutch and the Portuguese, has been a pretty effective assault, I must say. Grenadiers from Dutch, unupgraded. I can't say for certain if that's going to be a good thing or not, but we'll see. And now, let's see if they move these artillery forward. If they can roll their way in. Yeah, now these villagers are under attack. We got Doppels here swinging their swords at them. Go H5 and spy. Yep, that's always the best thing you can do when you're beating your opponents, is always get that one player with the most economy to get the spies technology. Because you never know when there's going to be an opponent, you know, like Lars of Wars of Liberty just runs around the whole map and tries to stall the thing out for like half an hour. The other option you of course get is take as many TPs as you can as a team and go for the trade monopoly option, if that's available to you based on the game mode. I think it isn't. I think I recall in ranked, yeah, you can go trade monopoly, but I guess spies is what they're considering as well. Russia's still able to get some guard recruits here to aid the USA sharpshooters and Gatling guns. Oh, Gatling guns got taken down one culverin strike though, which makes it just a line of skirms and musketeers at this point. Now this fort's going to be under a bit of siege. Cassadors, culverins, organ guns, war wagons, all of the like. Yeah, in general, this USA has been a pretty good powerhouse for this defending team here. You know, doing most of the economic work, most of the defensive work, putting out some pretty good armies here. Yeah, Lakota just sort of fell through, I think, from the looks of it. As soon as I started seeing the torch on this wall here, things started to really crumble really quickly for him. And you could see that right away. They're going to catch this organ gun by surprise, which was very lucky, but now the recruits aren't going to be very lucky now that they're going to deal with the onslaught of skirms and artillery. I mean, at this rate, any cannon that you can, like, take out is probably, like, moving yourself a mile in terms of stalling this out, you know? I can't say for certain at this point if you're in, like, a 4v2 situation like this, if there's really a good chance for you to push back at this point. You know, especially when this team is being so efficient in terms of their army usage. They're using cavalry, artillery, everything they can. You know, trying to make as many gains as possible. So I could not say for sure if there's much of a shot here at, you know, salvaging this at this point. But you never know, though. Sometimes people can pull out miracles with, like, mercenaries, heavy cans, stuff like that, and just, like, go crazy. Now, this is a good idea by USA. They're actually using the forts to target the Falks up here from these invaders here. These are German invaders. But then the Germans come behind that with actual mortars, which you're not going to be able to do that with because the mortars outrange the forts. Now that the mortars are in, it's safe to say that these forts are going to be inevitably destroyed now. It's not, yeah, with Falks and Culverins, yeah, it's totally possible to defend for a little while, but once the mortars come in and they're defended properly with stuff like this, then yeah, it's kind of not looking too good. Oh, the USA actually reached the Imperial Age. Ooh, that's pretty good. So they're going full throttle here. How much resources does USA even have at this point? 2k food, 1k coin, not the best. But they are actually going to use their wood to make state militia now. And I'm assuming they're going to try to upgrade these up a bit as well. Oh, now they're going for the Texan forts. Forts now instead of slowly train batches of units for free. So that's why they went with this fort card here as well as the Kosciuszko fortifications. This is all in an attempt to get a bunch of free units going for them. So even if they were running low on resources, this USA is going to be able to pick particular units that they want from these forts and start queuing them up constantly for free from there. So they're going to actually, I see it started out on state militia, but are they going to keep it on that? Well, it's not going to help too much when your fort's under fire from these Oh no, they just lost the fort to the petards, yeah. Kaiushki always destroys stuff with the petards. I mean, I use petards occasionally, but I don't use them like Kaiushki does. Kaiushki knows just when and where to use them. And it always works out really good. 2 forts in 1 second. Yeah, that is like a really good blow against the United States. And honestly, I think maybe if this team wasn't pushing as hard as they were, maybe this USA could push back a little bit. Because I'm just shocked, even with all this going on, they're still able to come up with 5k plus food at this point. Able to pump out all these state militia. And then they finally resigned. You know, they realize it's not going to do too good. You know, 2 of their allies were out. Russia's just really behind, losing their factory. And it's just a matter of time before Russia just resigns at this point. I mean, yeah, they did good by putting the factory here, though, after how the first one went out. But that's just not going to cut it anymore. Too little army at this point. A couple of guard recruits, you know. Yeah, guard doesn't mean as much when you're the Russians because, you know, they're Ruskets. They're statistically weaker than the guard musketeers, so... Yeah, guard is good, but not as great as if it was like a British Rudcoat, for instance. GG, though, you know, this was a really effective show for a 4v4 by the Kaiushki team of how you can go for a good side attack, and you can do really good miracles in early game, you know. We see this stuff a lot in Wars of Liberty as well, where generally players will sometimes have these big all-out rushes in 4v4, and you don't expect that, right? I don't expect that. I got this late gamey deck thinking it's going to play out to Great War Rage or something. They change it up and try to kill you right away, too. I've learned over the years, you need to have some unit shipments in your back pocket. You need some stuff to deal with that. And I guess some of the members on this team just weren't ready to do that. You know, the Lakota got completely washed out. Ottomans tried with a lot of artillery. They didn't have a lot of support for that, so they just fell out too. So, whatever. It happens, you know. But, post-game wise, I'm wondering where the USA was in all this. USA, pretty good economy considering everything, but of course the opponents, you know, Germany's, the Portuguese, they're going to be naturally better because they're not the ones defending their home so tightly. In terms of military, though, USA getting really high kill counts here. USA was doing the brunt of the killing work here. 253 kills for their defending team, whereas Portuguese on the attacking side managed to get more kills themselves, and they seemed to be the driving force that was pushing them in, right? You know, yeah, I mean, look at that Red Germany up there with only 35 kills. You know, that's like nothing compared to that. What about the other Germany? 112, not bad. Dutch, not bad. But yeah, that Portugal, though, was like going MVP attack style there. And you sort of see the same thing on the opposing side, too, right? Lakota with 35 kills, like, barely even helped out at all. Ottomans doing 99, which was better because they were, you know, using artillery, which wipes out infantry. And then, you know, the Russia, 110, 102, mainly due to survivability through the match. Good game, though. You know, this was a quick 4v4. You never know how a 4v4 is going to go, honestly. Some of them super quick like this. Some of them are late game monstrosities, where it comes down to the person with the most resource cards and military cards. But these guys knew how to close it out very early, and that's pretty nice. Hopefully you enjoyed this game, you know. We don't always get to see 4v4s, you know. A lot of them are 1v1s and stuff. So when we can see these big, giant, big box games, that's great. Hopefully next time we get something like this. If not, that's cool too. If you got 4v4s you want to send, you know, always send them my way. Got some people that send me lots of recordings, but they always seem to be from the same sources. So if you yourself record your own games unranked or even just casual, send them and I will get to them as well. More the merrier, I say. See you in the next one. There's certainly a lot more to get through, so definitely stay tuned for those as I work through them. Signing off now from this one, though. See you on the next one.